I'm leaning in. Do you hear me? Help. Help. Number 2, Tom in Savage. You wish. Hi, Dennis. I'm thinking back on the events of 9 years ago, this 9/11 weekend. I recall that Letterman, Leno, and others went off the air for a time, and it took a while before they could go back on live again. How did you handle it? And how long did it take before you could go back on stage and tell jokes again? I don't remember. I know we had a week off from Monday Night Football. I remember I had come home from a game in Denver the night before. I had rented a plane, and I said to Bino, I'm getting out of Dodge if you want to come. Denver-Oakland game, I think. So Bino and I flew to Santa Barbara, and then he had a car meet him there, Al Michaels, to take him down to L.A. So I get in, let me see, what time would I have gotten in? Denver game would start Mountain Time. So it starts at 6 or 7, Denver time, 3.5, 4. Probably got out of there around midnight, or 11 o'clock LA time, and flew home. 2-hour flight, I get in around 1, probably unwind, go to bed at 2. But we do get out that night, because I think the people who stayed are stuck there for a week, because, you know, air travel, as we know it, shuts down. It seems to me 7 or 8 in the morning, maybe even earlier, 6 in the morning. I come in late, so I don't want to wake Carolyn. I jump into the guest room and crash. She wakes me up, and believe it or not, it's before the second plane hits. She just said, a plane has hit the World Trade Center. She said, you have to watch this. I wake up, and literally, I see the second one hit with Carolyn live, if I'm not mistaken. And, you know, that's a little hazy, but at that point I just thought, my, what an amazing accident. It looks too sunny there. That's what I remember thinking, what's that about? It looks very sunny. It doesn't look cloudy. How did they hit the World Trade? But I was hazy myself, so I couldn't quite put it together. So at that point, though, I still thought it might have been an accident. But then the second one drives the horrific point home. I do know that we had a week off then from Monday Night Football, but I believe the week after that we went right into New York and played it. I remember standing there with Albino outside the Meadowlands, or maybe that was a little further down the road. But it was relatively soon after that, and looking across the river at New York, and it was so bizarre to see that lack of, you know, the World Trade Centers, because I'd done games in New York before and looked across and thought, God, look at those buildings, and just mind-boggling to me. But tell jokes again? Don't remember. How did you handle it? Like everybody else, aghast. Was this, you know, Christ, the world's ending? Not ending literally, but, you know, our way of life. And then what do you do when you're a human being? For Christ's sake, as hard as it was for people to lose those buildings, people lose loved ones. And I'm sure at that moment, you lose both your parents, they're your twin towers, and, you know, people, what do? You do the human thing. You start putting one foot in front of the other, and you get on with it. But is it a bitch? Yeah, because it still boggles my mind that those animals were able to pull that off. Yeah, it boggles my mind that they could pull that off. To think you could take 2 planes off from separate airports, or maybe it was Boston, or I thought one was Newark or something, but that was the one going to L.A. But you know what I mean. That boggled my mind that they could do that and crash those both, not miss the building or tip it with the wing, or, you know what I mean, within a half an hour. You just, it's still surreal to me. It's like the worst science fiction you've ever seen. And changed me. Not completely. I was always a pragmatist, but I remember thinking, all right, you got to croak these fuckers. Enjoy these samples of the Bathrobe Sessions, a weekly video available only to members of the DMZ, the Dennis Miller Zone, on DennisMillerRadio.com.